Job 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. Now that man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. That man was the greatest of all the people of the East. Now it was customary for his sons to hold a banquet, each on his own day in his own house. They would send to invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When the round of banquet days was completed, Job would send for them and consecrate them. He would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did every day. One day, the sons of God came to present themselves before Adonai, and the Satan also came with them. Adonai said to the Satan, "Where have you come from?" The Satan responded to Adonai and said, "From roaming the earth and walking on it." Adonai said to the Satan, "Did you notice my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and spurns evil." Then the Satan responded to Adonai, saying, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, his household, and everything he has? You've blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will certainly curse you to your face." Then Adonai said to the Satan, "Everything he has is in your hand. Only do not extend your hand against him." So the Satan departed from the presence of Adonai. One day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job saying, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing near them when the Sabaeans attacked and carried them off. They also killed the servants with the edge of the sword. I alone escaped to tell you." While this one was still speaking, another came in and said, "The fire of God has fallen from heaven and has burned up the sheep and servants. It has consumed them, and I alone escaped to tell you." While this one was still speaking, another came in and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 bands and raided the camels and took them all away. They also killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and only I alone, escaped to tell you." While this one was still speaking, another came in and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine at their oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind came from beyond the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it collapsed on the young people, and they died, and only I alone, escaped to tell you." Then Job got up, tore his robe, shaved his head, fell to the ground, and worshipped. Then he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return there. Adonai gave, and Adonai has taken away. Blessed be the name of Adonai." Through all this, Job did not sin, nor did he cast reproach on God. Job 2. Again the day came when the sons of God came to present themselves before Adonai, and the Satan also arrived among them to present himself before Adonai. Adonai said to him, "Where are you coming from?" The Satan answered Adonai, "From roaming the earth and walking in it." Then Adonai said to the Satan, "Have you noticed my servant Job? For there is no one like him on earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and spurns evil, and he still holds firmly to his integrity, though you incited me against him, to ruin him without any reason." The Satan replied to Adonai, saying, "Skin for skin. A man will give up all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his bone and flesh, and he will certainly curse you to your face." Adonai said to the Satan, "Very well. He is in your hand. Only spare his life." So the Satan departed from the presence of Adonai and afflicted Job with painful boils from the sole of his foot to the top of his head. He took a piece of broken pottery to scrape himself while he was sitting among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still holding firmly to your integrity? Curse God and die." He said to her, "You speak as any foolish woman would speak. Should we accept the good from God and not accept the bad?" Through this, Job did not sin with his lips. When Job's 3 friends heard about all this calamity that had come upon him, each of them came from his own place: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They met together to come and mourn with him and to comfort him. But when they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him, and they raised their voices and wept. Each one tore his robe and threw dust into the air onto their heads. They sat with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights. No one spoke a word to him, because they saw that his pain was very great. Job 3. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Then Job answered and said, "May the day I was born perish, and the night that said, a man is conceived. That day may it be darkness, may God above not regard it, may no light shine on it. May darkness and deep gloom reclaim it. May a cloud settle over it, may whatever blackens the day terrify it. That night may thick darkness seize it, may it not be included among the days of the year, nor be entered among the number of months. Indeed, may that night be barren, may no joyful shout enter it. May those who curse the day, those ready to awaken Leviathan. May its morning stars be darkened, may it hope for light but have none. May it never see the eyelids of dawn. For it did not shut the doors of the womb on me, nor did it hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth and expire as I exited the womb? Why did the knees welcome me and the breast that I might nurse? For now I would be lying down and quiet, I would be asleep and at rest, with kings and counselors of the earth who built for themselves places now desolate, with princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or why was I not hidden like a stillborn, like infants who never saw light? There the wicked cease from turmoil, and there the weary are at rest. Prisoners are at ease together, they do not hear the voice of the taskmaster. Small and great are there, and slave is free from his master. Why is light given to the one who suffers, and life to the bitter of soul? To those who long for death, but it does not come, who dig for it more than for hidden treasures, who are filled with gladness and rejoice when finding the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden and whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes instead of my bread, and my groans pour out like water. For the thing I dreaded has come upon me, and what I feared has happened to me. I have no ease, no quietness. I have no rest, but turmoil came. Job 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite responded and said, "If one attempts a word with you, will you become impatient? But who can keep from speaking? Behold, you have instructed many. You have strengthened weak hands. Your words have supported those who stumbled and strengthened buckling knees. Yet now it has come to you, and you are discouraged. It strikes you, and you are dismayed. Is not your piety your confidence, the integrity of your ways your hope? Reflect now, who, being innocent, ever perished? And where were the upright destroyed? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow harm reap them. By the breath of God they perish. By the blast of his anger they vanish. The lion may roar and the cub growl, but the teeth of the young lions are broken. The mighty lion perishes for lack of prey, and the lioness's cubs are scattered. Now a word was secretly brought to me, and my ear caught a whisper of it. Amid unsettling visions in the night, when a deep sleep falls on men, dread and trembling seized me and made my bones shake. Then a spirit brushed over my face, and the hair of my flesh stood on end. It stood still, but I could not recognize its appearance. A form was before my eyes, and I heard a murmur, a voice. Can a mortal be righteous before God, or a man pure before his Creator? If he puts no trust in his servants and accuses his angels of error, how much more those who dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed before the moth. From morning until evening they are beaten into pieces. Unnoticed, they perish forever. Is not their tent cord pulled out so that they die without wisdom. Job 5. Cry out now. Will anyone answer you? To which of the holy ones will you turn? For resentment kills a fool, and envy slays the simple. I myself have seen a fool taking root, but suddenly I cursed his dwelling. His sons are far from safety and crushed at the gate without a deliverer. The hungry consumes his harvest, taking it even from among thorns, and the thirsty pants after their wealth. For evil does not come from the dust, nor does trouble sprout from the ground. Yet man is born for trouble as surely as sparks fly upward. But as for me, I would seek God. I would lay my cause before God. Who does great things beyond comprehension, wonders without number? Who gives rain to the earth and sends water over the plains? Who places the lowly on high and lifts mourners to salvation? Who frustrates the plans of the crafty so that their hands attain no success? Who catches the clever in their craftiness and thwarts the plan of the cunning? By day they encounter darkness and grope at noon as if it were night. But he saves the needy from the sword of their mouth and from the clutches of the mighty. So the helpless have hope, and injustice shuts its mouth. Behold, happy is the one whom God corrects. And so do not despise the discipline of Shaddai. For he inflicts pain, but he also binds up. He injures, yet his hands also heal. From 6 calamities he will deliver you, even in 7 no harm will touch you. In famine he will redeem you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. You will be hidden from the lash of the tongue, and not fear when violence comes. You will laugh at violence and famine, and will not fear the beasts of the earth. For you will have a covenant with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field will be at peace with you. You will know shalom in your tent, and you will take stock of your home and find nothing missing. You will know that your descendants will be numerous, your offspring like the grass of the earth. You will come to the grave in vigor, like sheaves of grain in its season. Behold, we have investigated this. It is true. Hear it and apply it to yourself. Job 6. Job responded and said, If only my grief could be weighed and my calamity placed on the scales. For it outweighs the sands of the sea, that is why my words have been rash. For the arrows of Shaddai are in me. My spirit drinks in their poison. God's terrors line up against me. Does a wild donkey bray over fresh grass, or an ox bellow over his fodder? Is something bland eaten without salt? Is there taste in the white of an egg? My soul refuses to touch them. They are like sickening food to me. Oh, that my request would be realized, that God would grant my hope, that God would be willing to crush me, to release his hand and cut me off. Then I would still be comforted, even rejoice in spite of unrelenting pain, for I have not denied the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? What is my end that I should endure? Is my strength the strength of rock? Is my flesh bronze? Is there no help within me? Has not success been banished from me? A despairing person should have the kindness of his friend, even if he forsakes the fear of Shaddai. My brothers have acted deceptively as a seasonal stream, as a torrential stream that overflows, when darkened by thawing ice and obscured by snow. But when they are scorched, they dry up, and in the heat they vanish from their place. Caravans turn aside from their course. They go up into the wasteland and perish. The caravans of Tema looked intently. The travelers of Sheba hoped for them. They were distressed because they had been confident. They came so far and were disappointed. Indeed, now you have become nothing. You see a terror and are afraid. Have I ever said, Give to me, or pay a bribe for me from your wealth, or save me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from a ruthless hand? Teach me and I will be silent. Explain to me how I have been wrong. Honest words are painful, but what does your arguing prove? Do you intend to correct my words and treat the words of a despairing man as wind? Would you cast lots for an orphan and barter over your friend? Now be so kind as to look at me. I will not lie to your face. Relent, do not be unjust. Reconsider, for my righteousness is in it. Is injustice on my tongue? Can my palate not discern evil? Job 7. Does not man have hard labor on earth? Are not his days like those of hired laborer? Like a slave longing for the shadow, or a hired man waiting for his pay, so I have inherited months of futility, and nights of distress have been appointed to me. When I lay down, I say, when will I rise? The night drags on, and I toss until the day dawns. My flesh is clothed with maggots and clods of dirt. My skin is broken and festering. My days fly faster than a weaver's shuttle, and come to an end without hope. Remember, my life is but a breath. My eyes will not see goodness again. The eye that sees me now will see me no more. Your eyes will be on me, but I will be no more. As a cloud vanishes and is gone, so one descending into Sheol does not come up. He will never return to his house. His place does not know him. So I will not keep silent. I will speak in the distress of my spirit. I will complain in bitterness of soul. Am I a sea or a monster of the deep that you have set a watch over me? When I say, my bed will comfort me, my couch will ease my complaint, then you frighten me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that my soul prefers strangulation and my bones death. I despise it. I would not live forever. Leave me alone, for my days are a vapor. What is mankind that you magnify him, that you set your heart on him, that you visit him every morning and test him in every moment? Will you never look away from me, or let me alone until I swallow my spittle? Have I sinned? What have I done to you, O watcher of men? Why have you set me as your target? Have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now I will lie down in the dust, and you will search for me, but I will be gone. Job 8. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, how long will you say these things? The words of your mouth are like a mighty wind. Does God pervert justice? Does Shaddai pervert justice? If your children sinned against him, he handed them over to their rebellion. If you would seek God and plead with Shaddai, if you are pure and upright, even now he will awaken for you and restore your righteous abode. And though your beginning was small, your future would flourish. Now ask the previous generation, consider the findings of their fathers. For we were born yesterday and know nothing, and our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not teach you and tell you? Will they not bring forth words from their hearts? Can papyrus grow tall without a marsh? Can reeds flourish without water? When still in bloom and uncut, it withers more quickly than other grass. Such are the ways of all who forget God. The hope of the godless perishes. Whose confidence is snapped off, his trust is a spider's web. He leans against his house, but it does not stand. He holds fast to it, but it does not hold up. He's a well-watered plant in the sun, spreading his shoots over his garden. He entwines his roots around a heap of stones and looks for a place between the rocks. If he's uprooted from his place, it denies him, saying, I never saw you. Such is his joyous course, and from the earth others spring up. Surely God does not spurn the blameless or strengthen the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Those who hate you will be clothed with shame. The tent of the wicked will be no more. Job 9. Job responded and said, truly, I know it is so, but how can one be righteous before God? If anyone wished to contend with him, he could not answer him once in 1,000. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who has resisted him and come out whole? He who moves mountains, yet they do not know it, who overthrows them in his anger, who shakes the earth from its place until its pillars tremble, who speaks to the sun so it does not rise and seals up the stars. He alone spreads out the heavens and treads on the waves of the sea. He makes the Bear, Orion, and Pleiades, and the constellations of the south. He does great and unfathomable things, wonders beyond number. If he were to pass by me, I would not see him. Were he to move past me, I would not perceive him. If he were to snatch away, who could restrain him? Who could say to him, what are you doing? God does not restrain his anger. Under him the helpers of Rahab cower. How then can I answer him or choose my words with him? Even if I were right, I would not answer. I would implore the mercy of my judge. Even if I called and he answered me, I would not believe that he would listen to my voice. He who crushes me with a storm and multiplies my wounds for no reason. He does not allow me to catch my breath, but fills me with bitterness. If it is a question of strength, certainly, he is the mighty one. If it is a matter of justice, who will summon me? Even if I were innocent, my mouth would condemn me. If I were guiltless, it would declare me perverse. I am guiltless. I have no concern for myself. I despise my life. It's all the same, therefore I say he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. If a scourge smites suddenly, he mocks the despair of the innocent. If the land falls into the hand of the wicked, he blindfolds the faces of its judges. If it is not he, then who is it? My days are swifter than a runner. They flee away without seeing goodness. They slip by like reed boats, like an eagle swooping down on its prey. If I say, I will forget my complaint, I will put off my sad face and be cheerful, I still dread all my pains, for I know you will not find me innocent. If I am condemned, why should I struggle in vain? If I wash myself with melted snow and cleanse my hands with lye, then you would plunge me into a pit, and my own clothes would detest me. For he is not a human being like I am, that I could answer him, that we could go to court together. There is no arbitrator between us. Who could lay his hand on both of us? Who could remove his rod from me, so that his terror would not frighten me? Then I would speak and not fear him, except it is not so with me. Job 10. I loathe my own life. I will give full vent to my complaint. I will speak out of the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Tell me why you contend with me. Is it good for you to oppress, to despise the work of your hands, while you smile in the plans of the wicked? Do you have eyes of flesh? Do you see as a human being sees? Are your days like those of a mortal, or your years like those of a strong man, that you should seek out my iniquity and search out my sin? Though you know that I am not guilty, yet there is no one to deliver from your hand. Your hands molded and fashioned me. Will you now destroy me completely? Remember, you fashioned me like clay. Will you return me to dust? Did you not pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Clothe me with skin and flesh and knit me together with bones and sinews? You gave me life and steadfast love, and your care has preserved my spirit. Yet these things you have hidden in your heart, for I know that this is with you. If I sinned, you would snatch me and not acquit me of my iniquity. If I'm guilty, woe to me. Even if I am innocent, I cannot lift my head. I'm full of shame and conscious of my affliction. If my head is held high, you hunt me like a lion, and again work wonders against me. You renew your witness against me and increase your anger toward me. Change and warfare are with me. Why then did you bring me out from the womb? I should have died so no eye would have seen me. If only I had never come into being or been carried from womb to grave. Are not my days few? Then stop, leave me alone so I might have a little joy. Before I depart and never return to the land of darkness and the shadow of death, the land of utter darkness, like the deepest darkness and disorder where even the light is like darkness. Job 11. Then Zophar the Naamathite answered and said, should so many words go unanswered? Is a man justified by his lips? Will your idle talk silence men, and will no one rebuke you when you mock? For you have said, my teaching is flawless and I am pure in your eyes. But if only God would speak and open his lips against you and show you the secrets of wisdom. For sound wisdom has two sides. Know that God has forgotten some of your iniquity. Can you discover the mysteries of God? Can you find the limits of Shaddai? They are higher than the heavens. What can you do? They are deeper than Sheol. What can you know? Its measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he comes by and imprisons or convenes a court, who can prevent him? For he knows deceitful men. When he sees wickedness, does he not consider it? But a witless man will gain understanding when a wild donkey's colt is born a human being. If you devote your heart to him and spread out your hands to him, if you put away the wickedness that is in your hand and allow no iniquity to abide in your tent, then you will lift up your face without reproach. You will stand firm and without fear. You will forget your trouble. You will remember it like water that has flowed away. Life will be brighter than noonday, darkness like morning. You will be confident because there is hope. You will look about you and lie down in safety. You will lie down with no one to make you afraid. Many will seek your favor, but the eyes of the wicked will fail, and escape will elude them. Their only hope is their dying breath. Job 12. Job responded and said, "Without a doubt, you are the people, and wisdom will die with you. But I have a mind as well as you. I'm not inferior to you. Who does not know these things? I have become a laughingstock to my friend, though I called on God and he answered. A righteous and blameless man is a laughingstock. Contempt for calamity is the thought of one at ease, prepared for those whose foot slips. The tents of marauders prosper, and there is security for those who provoke God, for those whom God brings in his hand. But now ask the animals, and they will teach you, or the birds of the sky, and they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, and it will teach you, or the fish of the sea, and they will inform you. Which of these does not know that the hand of Adonai has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all the human race. Does not the ear test words as the palate tastes food? Is not wisdom with the aged and understanding bring long life? With him are wisdom and power, counsel and understanding are his. If he tears down, it cannot be rebuilt. One he imprisons cannot be released. If he holds back the waters, they dry up. If he releases them, they destroy the earth. With him are power and sound wisdom. Both deceived and deceiver are his. He leads counselors away stripped and makes judges into fools. He loosens the bonds of kings and binds a loincloth around their waists. He leads priests away stripped and overthrows the rulers. He silences the lips of trusted advisors and removes the discernment of elders. He pours contempt on nobles and loosens the belts of the mighty. He reveals the deep things of darkness and brings utter darkness into light. He makes nations great and destroys them. He enlarges the nations and leads them away. He deprives the heads of the people of the earth of understanding and causes them to wander in a pathless wasteland. They grope in darkness with no light. He makes them stagger like a drunkard. Job 13 and 14. Indeed, my eye has seen it all, my ears have heard and understood it. What you know, I also know. I'm not inferior to you. Still, I desire to speak to Shaddai and to argue my case with God. You, however, smear me with lies. You are all worthless doctors, all of you. If only you would keep completely silent. For you, that would be wisdom. Hear now my argument. Listen to the contentions of my lips. Will you speak unjustly on God's behalf? Will you speak deceitfully for him? Would it turn out well if he examined you? Could you deceive him as you deceive a man? He would surely rebuke you if you secretly showed favoritism. Would not his majesty terrify you and the dread of him fall on you? Your maxims are proverbs of ashes. Your defenses are defenses of clay. Be silent and let me speak, then let come to me what may. Why should I take my flesh in my teeth and take my life in my hands? Even if he slays me, I will wait for him. I will surely defend my ways before him. This too will be my salvation, for no godless can come before him. Listen carefully to my words, and let my declaration be in your ears. See now, I have prepared my case. I know that I will be vindicated. Who will contend with me? If so, I will be silent and die. Only two things do not do to me, then I will not hide from your face. Withdraw your hand far from me, and do not assail me with your terror. Then call, and I will answer, or I will speak, and you respond to me. How many are my iniquities and sins? Show me my transgression and sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy? Will you frighten a windblown leaf and chase away dry chaff? For you write bitter things against me and make me inherit the iniquities of my youth. You put my feet in shackles and watch all my paths. You put marks on the soles of my feet, So he wastes away like something rotten, like a moth-eaten garment. A mortal born of woman is of few days and full of turmoil. Like a flower he comes up and withers, like a shadow he flees and does not stay. Do you fix your eyes on such a one, and bring me for judgment with you? Who can make something pure out of the impure? No one. Since his days are determined, the number of his months is with you. You have set his limits, which he cannot exceed. Look away from him and let him alone until he fulfills his time like a hired laborer. At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its shoots will not cease. Though its roots grow old in the earth, and its stump dies in the dry ground, at the scent of water it will bud and sprout, sprigs like a new plant. But a man dies and is powerless. Man expires, and where is he? As water evaporates from the sea and a river drains away and dries up, so a person lies down and does not rise. Until the heavens are no more, people will not wake or be roused from their sleep. Oh, that you would hide me in Sheol and conceal me until your wrath has passed. Oh, that you would set a time for me and then remember me. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard labor, I will wait until my relief comes. You will call, and I will answer you. You will long for the work of your hands. For then you will number my steps. You will not keep track of my sin. My transgression will be sealed in a bundle and cover over my iniquity. Yet as a mountain falls away and crumbles, and a rock is moved from its place, as water wears away stones and torrents wash away the soil, so you destroy a person's hope. You overpower him once for all, and he perishes. You change his appearance and send him away. If his sons achieve honor, he does not know it. If they're brought low, he does not perceive it. He only feels pain for his own flesh and mourns for his own soul. Job 15. Then Eliphaz the Temanite responded and said, Does a wise man answer with empty knowledge, or fill his belly with the east wind? Does he argue with useless talk and words that have no value in them? You even do away with reverence and hinder devotion before God, for your iniquity prompts your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, not I. Your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man to be born? Were you brought forth before the hills? Do you listen in on God's counsel? Do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that we do not understand? Both gray-haired and aged are with us, men even older than your father. Are the comforts of God too small for you, or a gentle word toward you? Why has your heart carried you away, and why do your eyes flash, so that you turn your spirit against God and bring such words out of your mouth? What is man that he could be pure, or one born of a woman that he could be righteous? If he puts no trust in his holy ones, if even the heavens are not pure in his eyes, how much less man who is vile and corrupt, who drinks evil like water? I will tell you, listen to me, and what I have seen I will declare. What wise men have declared and did not hide from their ancestors, to whom alone the land was given, when no foreigner passed among them. All his days the wicked suffers torment, and numbered are the years stored up for the tyrant. Terrifying sounds are in his ears. In a time of peace, marauders attack him. He does not expect to escape from darkness. He's destined for the sword. He wanders about for bread. Where is it? He knows that the day of darkness is at hand. Distress and anguish terrify him. They overpower him like a king poised to attack. For he raises his hand against God and flaunts himself against Shaddai, defiantly rushing at him with a thick, strong shield. Because he covered his face with his fat and made his hips bulge with blubber. He lived in ruined cities and houses which no one inhabits, which are ready to crumble into heaps. He will not become rich, and his wealth will not endure, nor will his possessions spread over the land. He will not escape from the darkness. A flame will wither his shoots, and he will depart by the breath of his mouth. Let him not trust in emptiness, deceiving himself, for emptiness will be his reward. Before his day it will be paid in full, and his branch will not be green. He will shake off his unripe grapes like a vine, and cast off his blossoms like an olive tree. For the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of bribery. They conceive mischief and bring forth evil, and their belly prepares deception. Job 16, 17, and 18. I've heard many things like these. You are miserable comforters, all of you. Is there no end to your futile words? What compels you to answer? I too could speak like you if you were in my place. I could compose words against you and shake my head at you. But I would strengthen you with my mouth, and comfort from my lips would bring you relief. Yet if I speak, my pain is not relieved, and if I refrain, does it not go away from me? Surely now he has exhausted me. You have devastated my entire household. You've seized me. It has become a witness. My leanness rises against me and testifies to my face. His anger has torn and tormented me. He gnashes at me with his teeth. My enemy looks at me with daggers in his eyes. People open their mouths against me. They strike my cheek in contempt. They unite together against me. God has handed me over to the ungodly and tossed me into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, but he shattered me. He grabbed me by the neck and crushed me. He has made me his target. His archers surround me. Without mercy, he pierces my kidneys and spills my gall on the ground. He breaks through against me. Breach after breach, he runs after me like a warrior. I've sewn sackcloth over my skin and sunk my horn in the dust. My face is red from weeping, and on my eyelids are deep darkness. Yet no violence is in my hands, and my prayers pure. Earth, do not cover my blood, and let my cry find no resting place. Even now my witness is in heaven, my advocate is on high. My intercessor is my friend, as my eyes pour out tears to God. He contends with God on behalf of man, as one pleads for a friend. For the number of years will come to pass, and then I will go the way of no return. My spirit is broken, my days have cut short. The graveyard awaits me. Surely mockers are with me, my eyes must gaze on their hostility. Make then a pledge from me with you. Who else would strike hands with me? Because you have closed their heart to understanding, therefore you will not exalt them. If anyone denounces his friend for profit, the eyes of his children will fail. He has made me a byword to people. I am the one in whose face people spit. My eyes have grown dim with grief, and all my limbs are like a shadow. The upright are appalled at this, the innocent are stirred up against the ungodly. But the righteous one holds to his way, and the one with clean hands grows stronger. But turn all of you, come now. I will not find a wise man among you. My days have passed, my plans are torn apart. Yet the desires of my heart turn night into day. In the face of darkness, light is near. If I hope for Sheol as my home, if I make my bed in darkness, if I say to the pit, you are my father, and to the worm, my mother or my sister, where then is my hope, and my hope, who sees it? Will it go down to the gates of Sheol? Will we descend together into the dust? Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, saying, how long until you end these words? Consider, and then we will talk. Why are we regarded as beasts and stupid in your eyes? You who tear yourself to pieces in anger, will the earth be abandoned for your sake? Or must a rock be moved from its place? Indeed, the light of the wicked is snuffed out. The flame of his fire does not shine. The light in his tent grows dark. The lamp above him goes out. His vigorous stride is shortened, and his own scheme throws him down. For he's cast into a net by his feet, he wanders into its mesh. A trap seizes him by the heel, a snare holds him fast. A rope is hidden for him on the ground, and a trap for him lies on the path. On every side, terrors frighten him and harass his every step. Calamity is hungry for him. Disaster is ready for his fall. It eats away pieces of his skin. Death's firstborn devours his limbs. He's torn from the security of his tent and marched off to the king of terrors. Nothing of his dwells in his tent. Brimstone is scattered over his dwelling. Below his roots dry up, and above his branches wither. His memory perishes from the earth, and he has no name in the land. He is driven from light into darkness, and is banished from the world. He has no offspring or descendant among his people, no survivor where he once dwelt. People of the west are appalled at his fate. People of the east are seized with horror. Surely such are the dwellings of the wicked. Such is the place of one who does not know God. Job 19 and 20. Job responded, saying, "How long will you torment my soul and crush me with words? 10 times now you have reproached me. You attack me shamelessly. But even if it is true that I have erred, my error remains with me. If indeed you would exalt yourselves above me and prove my humiliation against me, then know that God has wronged me and circled me with his net. Though I cry out, 'Violence!' I get no response. I cry for help, but there is no justice. He has blocked my way so I cannot pass, and has shrouded my path in darkness. He has stripped me of honor and removed the crown from my head. He tears me down on every side until I am gone. He uproots my hope like a tree. His anger burns against me, and he considers me among his enemies. His troops advance together. They build a siege ramp against me and encamp around my tent. He removed my brothers far from me. My acquaintances are only strangers to me. My relatives have gone away, and my close friends have forgotten me. My house guests and my maidservants consider me a stranger. I've become a foreigner in their eyes. I call my servant, but he does not reply, though I beg him with my own mouth. My breath is repulsive to my wife. I'm loathsome to my children. Even young children despise me. When I stand, they speak against me. All my close friends despise me. Those I love have turned against me. My bones cling to my skin and my flesh. I have escaped only by the skin of my teeth. Have pity on me, my friends, have pity, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you pursue me like God? Are you not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were written, that they were recorded in a scroll, that with an iron pen and lead they were engraved in stone forever. Yet I know that my Redeemer lives, and in the end he will stand on earth. Even after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, and I, not a stranger. My heart grows weak within me. If you say, "How will we pursue him, since the root of the matter is found in him?" then you should fear the sword for yourselves. For wrath brings the punishments of the sword, so that you may know judgment. Then Zophar the Naamathite responded and said, "In truth, my troubled thoughts urge me to answer because of my feelings within me. I hear a rebuke that dishonors me, and my understanding inspires me to reply. Do you not know that it has been from old, since mankind was put on earth, that the triumph of the wicked is short, and the joy of the godless is but for a moment? Though his pride reaches to the heavens, and his head touches the clouds, he perishes forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him will say, 'Where is he?' Like a dream he flies away, and they cannot find him. Like a vision of the night, he's chased away. The eye that saw him will not see him again. His place will look on him no more. His children must recompense the poor. His own hands must give back his wealth. His bones were full of his youthful vigor, but it will lie down with him in the dust. Though evil is sweet in his mouth, though he hides it under his tongue, though he cannot bear to let it go and holds it in his mouth, his food turns sour in his stomach. It becomes the venom of serpents within him. He swallows riches and vomits them up. God empties it out of his stomach. He sucks the poison of serpents. Fangs of a viper kill him. He will not look at streams, rivers flowing with honey and butter. He gives back what he toiled for without swallowing it. He will not enjoy the riches of his trade. For he has oppressed and abandoned the poor. He has seized a house he did not build it. For he knows no satisfaction from his greed. He cannot save himself by his desires. Nothing remains for him to devour. Therefore his prosperity will not last. In the fullness of his plenty, he will be distressed. The full force of misery will come upon him. While he's filling his belly, he will send the anger of his wrath against him and rain it down on him on his flesh. Though he flees from an iron weapon, a bronze bow pierces him through. He pulls and comes out of his back, the gleaming point out of his liver. Terrors come upon him. Total darkness waits for his treasures. A fire not fanned will devour him. It will consume what is left in his tent. The heavens will expose his iniquity. The earth will rise up against him. A flood will carry off his house, rushing waters on the day of his wrath. Such is the wicked man's lot from God, the heritage appointed to him by God. Job 21 and 22. Then Job replied, "Listen carefully to my words. Let this be your consolation. Bear with me as I speak, and after I have spoken, mock on. As for me, is my complaint against man? If so, why should I not be impatient? Look at me and be appalled. Put your hand over your mouth. When I think of it, I'm terrified, and my flesh shudders. Why do the wicked go on living, growing old and increasing in power? Their children are established in their presence, their offspring before their eyes. Their homes have peace and are free from fear. No rod of God is on them. His bull breeds without fail. His cow calves and does not miscarry. They send out their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and harp and rejoice at the sound of the flute. They spend their days in prosperity and in a moment go down to Sheol. Yet they say to God, 'Leave us alone. We have no desire to know your ways.' Who is Shaddai that we should serve him? What would we gain if we pray to him? Look, their prosperity is not in their own hands. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How often is the lamp of the wicked snuffed out or calamity fallen on them? How often does he allot pain in his anger? How often are they like straw before the wind, like chaff swept away by a storm? You say, God stores up the punishment for his children. Let him repay the wicked so he may know it. Let his own eyes see his ruin. Let him drink the wrath of Shaddai. For what does he care for his family that he leaves behind when the number of his months has come to an end? Can anyone teach God knowledge, since he judges even the highest? One dies in his full strength, completely secure and at ease. His pails are full of milk, his bones are moist with marrow. Yet another dies in bitterness of soul, never having tasted goodness. Together they lie in the dust, and worms cover over them. Behold, I know your thoughts, the schemes by which you wrong me. For you ask, where's the nobleman's house and the tent where the wicked lived? Have you not asked travelers? Do you not recognize their accounts that the wicked are spared for the day of calamity, that they are brought to the day of wrath? Who declares his conduct to his face? Who repays him for what he has done? He is brought to the grave, and watch is kept over his tomb. The soil in the valley is sweet to him. Everyone follows after him, and countless are those before him. So how will your futility comfort me? For your answers remain nothing but falsehood. Then Eliphaz the Temanite responded, saying, Can a man be useful to God? Can even a wise man benefit him? What pleasure is it to Shaddai if you are righteous? Or what gain if your ways are blameless? Is it because of your reverence that he corrects you and brings judgment against you? Is not your wickedness great? And is there no end to your iniquity? For you took pledges from your brothers for no reason. You stripped the naked of their clothing. You gave the weary no water to drink, and from the hungry you withhold bread. Though you were a mighty man owning land, an honored man living on it, you sent widows away empty-handed and crushed the arms of orphans. That is why snares surround you and why sudden fear terrifies you. Or why is it so dark that you cannot see? And why a flood of water covers you? Is not God in the heights of heaven? And see the lofty stars, how high they are? Yet you say, what does God know? Does he judge through such thick darkness? Thick clouds veil him, so he does not see as he walks in the vault of heaven. Will you keep to the old way that wicked men have trod? They were snatched away before their time, their foundations washed away by a river. They said to God, Leave us alone, what can Shaddai do to us? Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see and rejoice, the innocent mock them, saying, Surely our foes are cut off, and fire consumes their abundance. Reconcile now with him, and have shalom. In this way prosperity will come to you. Accept instruction from his mouth and store up his words in your heart. If you return to Shaddai, you will be restored. If you remove iniquity far from your tent, and throw out your gold in the dust and the gold of Ophir to the rocks and the wadis, then Shaddai will be your gold and your precious silver. Surely then Shaddai will be your delight, and you will lift up your face to God. You will pray to him, and he will hear you, and you will fulfill your vows. What you decide will be done, and light will shine on your ways. When people are brought low and you say, lift them up, then he will save the downcast. He will deliver even one who is not innocent, who will be delivered by the cleanness of your hands. Job 23 and 24. Then Job answered, even today my complaint is rebellious. His hand is heavy despite my groaning. If only I knew where to find him, if only I could go to his dwelling, I would lay out my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know with what words he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. Would he oppose me with great power? No, he would only pay attention to me. There the upright can reason with him, and there I would forever be delivered from my judge. But if I go to the east, he is not there. If I go to the west, I do not find him. When he is in the north, I cannot perceive him. When he turns south, I do not see him. Yet he knows the way that I take. If he tested me, I would come out as gold. My foot has held closely to his steps. I have kept to his way and have not strayed. I have not departed from the commands of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my daily bread. He is unchangeable, and who can change him? Whatever his soul desires, he does. For he fulfills the decree against me, and many such things are with him. That is why I am terrified at his presence. When I consider this, I fear him. God has made my heart faint. Shaddai has terrified me. Yet I am not silenced because of the darkness, nor by the thick darkness that covers my face. Why are times not stored up by Shaddai, and why do those who know him not see his days? Some remove the boundary stones, they steal flocks and pasture them. They drive away the orphan's donkey and take the widow's ox as a pledge. They turn the needy off the path, they force the poor of the land into hiding. Behold, like wild donkeys in the desert, they go about their work, foraging prey in the desert as food for their children. They reap their fodder in the field and glean in the vineyard of the wicked. Without clothing, they spend the night naked, without covering against the cold. They are drenched by mountain rains and hug the rock for lack of shelter. The orphan is snatched from the breast. The infant of the poor is taken as a pledge. They wander about naked without clothing and go hungry while they carry sheaves. They press oil between the terraces, they tread wine presses, but are thirsty. From the city men groan, and the souls of the wounded cry out, yet God charges no one with folly. These are those who rebel against the light, who do not recognize its ways or stay in its paths. The murderer rises with the light, kills the poor and needy, and in the night becomes a thief. The eye of the adulterer waits for twilight, thinking, no eye will see me, and he disguises his face. When it is dark, they break into houses, but by day they shut themselves in. They do not know the light. For to all of them, morning is as thick darkness. They are familiar with the terrors of thick darkness. He is foam on the surface of water. Their portion of the land is cursed. No one turns toward their vineyards. As heat and drought snatch away the melted snow, so Sheol takes away those who have sinned. The womb forgets him. The worm feasts on him. No longer will he be remembered, but like a tree, wickedness is broken. He feeds on the barren and childless woman and shows no kindness to the widow. But he drags off the mighty by his power. He raises up, yet no one has assurance of life. He allows him to rest in a sense of security, but his eyes are on their ways. They are exalted for a little while, and then they're gone. They're brought low and gathered up like all the others. They're like heads of grain. They wither. Now, if it is not so, who can prove me a liar and reduce my speech to nothing? Job 25, 26, and 27. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered, dominion and awe are with him. He establishes shalom in his heights. Can his armies be counted? On whom does his light not rise? How then can a man be righteous with God? How can one born of a woman be pure? If even the moon is not bright and the stars are not pure in his eyes, how much less man who is but a maggot, a son of a man who is a worm? Then Job responded and said, How you have helped the powerless, how you've saved the arm without strength, how you have counseled the one without wisdom and revealed your abundant insights. To whom have you uttered words, whose spirit has come from your mouth? The dead tremble, those beneath the water and all that live in them. Sheol is naked before him, Abaddon has no covering. He stretches out the north over the void, he suspends the earth over nothing. He wraps up the waters in his clouds, yet the clouds do not burst under them. He covers the face of the full moon, spreading his clouds over it. He marks out the horizon on the face of the waters for a boundary between light and dark. The pillars of heaven tremble, astounded at his rebuke. By his power he churns up the sea, by his understanding he smashed Rahab. By his ruach the heavens are clear, his hand pierced the fleeing serpent. Indeed, these are but glimpses of his ways, how faint the whisper we hear of him. Who then can understand the thunder of his might? And Job took up his discourse again, saying, As God lives, who has deprived me of justice, Shaddai, who has made me bitter of soul, as long as my breath is still in me, the ruach of God in my nostrils, my lips will speak no injustice, nor will my tongue mutter deceit. Far be it from me to say that you are just. Until I die, I will not set aside my integrity. I will maintain my righteousness and not let it go. My conscience will not reproach me for any of my days. May my enemy be like the wicked, my enemy like the unrighteous. For what hope is the godless when he's cut off, when God takes his soul? Will God hear his cry when trouble comes upon him? Will he delight in Shaddai? Will he call upon God at all times? I will teach you about the hand of God. I will not conceal the ways of Shaddai. Look, you have seen all this yourselves. Why then this meaningless talk? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, the inheritance that ruthless men receive from Shaddai. If his children increase, it is for the sword. His offspring will never have enough to eat. Those who survive him will be buried by the plague, and their widows will not weep. Though he piles up silver like dust and clothing like heaps of mortar, what he lays up the righteous will wear, and the upright will divide the silver. The house he built is like a moth's cocoon, like a hut made for a watchman. He lies down wealthy, but will gather no more. When he opens his eyes, all is gone. Terrors overtake him like a flood. A storm sweeps him away at night. The east wind picks him up and he's gone. It sweeps him out of his place. It hurls itself at him without pity as he flees headlong from its hand. It claps its hands at him in derision and hisses him out of his place. Job 28 and 29. Surely there is a mine for silver in a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth and copper is smelted from ore. Man puts an end to darkness. He searches to the farthest reaches for ore in gloom and blackest darkness. He cuts open a shaft far from dwellings in places forgotten by feet. Far from other people they dangle back and forth. The earth from which food comes is transformed as by fire. A place whose rocks are sapphires, its dust contains gold. No bird of prey knows the path, nor falcon's eye has seen it. Proud beasts have not set foot on it, and no lion has passed there. Man sets his hand against the flinty rock and overturns mountains by the roots. He carves out tunnels through the rocks. His eye sees every precious thing. He dams up streams from flowing and brings hidden things to light. But where can wisdom be found? Where's the place of understanding? No mortal comprehends its worth. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not in me." The sea says, "It is not with me." Pure gold cannot be given for it, nor can its price be weighed in silver. It cannot be weighed in gold from Ophir, in precious onyx or sapphire. Neither gold or crystal can compare with it, nor vessels of fine gold exchanged for it. No mention will be made of a coral or a jasper. The price of wisdom is more than pearls. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot compare to it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. Where then does wisdom come from? Where is the place of understanding? It's been hidden from the eyes of all living things, concealed from the birds of the sky. Abaddon and Death say, with our ears we have heard a rumor of it. God understands its way and he knows its place. He looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. When he made the force of the wind and measured out the waters. When he set a limit for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm. Then he looked at it and assessed it, established it and examined it. And he said to mankind, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding. Again Job took up his discourse, saying, Oh, that I could be as in the months gone by, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone above my head, when by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in the days of my prime, when God's intimate friendship was upon my tent, when Shaddai was still with me and my children surrounded me, when my steps were bathed with butter and the rock poured out for me streams of oil, when I went out to the city gate and secured my seat in the public square. Young men would see me and hide, old men would rise and stand. Princes refrained from talking and put their hands over their mouths. The voice of the nobles was hushed, and their tongues stuck to their palate. When the ear heard it, it called me blessed, and when the eye saw me, it commended me. For I saved the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no one to help him. The blessing of the dying man came on me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness as my clothing, justice was as my robe and turban. I was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I investigated the case of one I did not know. I broke the jaws of the unjust and snatched the prey out of his teeth. Then I thought, I will die in my nest and multiply my days like the sand. My roots reach the water, and dew lies in my branches all night. My glory is fresh within me, and my bow is renewed in my hand. People listened to me and waited and kept silent for my advice. After I had spoken, they spoke no more. My words fell on them drop by drop. They waited for me as for the rain, and opened their mouths as for spring rain. When I joked with them, they hardly believed it. They did not cause the light of my face to fall. I chose their way and sat as their chief. I lived as a king among the troops. I was like one who comforts mourners. Job 30. But now they mock me, those younger than I, whose fathers I would have disdained to put with my sheepdogs. Moreover, what use was the strength of their hands to me, since their vigor has gone from them? Haggard from want and hunger, they gnaw the parched land, in former time desolate and waste. In the brush they pluck salt herbs, and their food was from the root of the broom tree. They were banished from society, shouted at as if they were thieves. So they were forced to dwell in wadis, in holes of the earth, and among the rocks. They brayed among the bushes and huddled under the nettles. A senseless and nameless brood, they were cast out from the land. So now I have become their taunt song, I have become a byword to them. They despise me, they keep their distance from me. They do not hesitate to spit in my face. Because he has loosened my cord and afflicted me, they have cast off restraint in my presence. On my right the rabble rise up, they entangle my feet and build up their destructive paths against me. They break up my path. They succeed in destroying me without anyone helping them. As through a wide breach they come, amid the ruins they come rolling in. Terrors are turned on me, they chase away my honor like the wind, and like a cloud my deliverance vanishes. And now my soul is poured out within me, days of suffering have taken hold of me. Night pierces my bones within me. My gnawing pains never rest. By great power he seizes my garment. He binds me like the collar of my tunic. He has cast me into the mud, and I have become like dust and ashes. I cry out to you, but you do not answer me. I stand up, but you only look at me. You have turned on me cruelly. You attack me with the might of your hand. You lift me up in the wind and make me ride on it. You toss me about in the storm. For I know that you will bring me to death, to the house appointed for all the living. Yet does not one in a heap of ruins stretch out his hand, and in his distress cry for help? Have I not wept for the unfortunate? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? Yet when I hoped for good, evil came. When I waited for light, then darkness came. My heart seethes and never stops. Days of suffering confront me. I walk about blackened, but not by the sun. I stand in the assembly and cry for help. I've become a brother to jackals and a companion to ostriches. My skin has turned black on me, my bones burn with heat. My harp is for mourning, and my flute for the sound of weeping. Job 31. I made a covenant with my eyes not to pay attention to a virgin. From what is one's lot from God above, one's heritage from Shaddai on high? Is it not calamity for the unjust and disaster for workers of iniquity? Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? If I've walked in falsehood or my foot has hurried to deceit, then let him weigh me with honest scales. Then God will know my integrity. If my step has strayed from the way, if my heart has walked after my eyes, or if any defilement has stuck to my hands, then let me sow and another eat, and let my crops be uprooted. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or I've lurked at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind for another, and let others sleep with her. For that would be a shameful act, an iniquity to be judged. For it is a fire that devours to destruction and uproots all my harvest. If I've denied justice to my male or female servant when they disputed with me, then what could I do when God rises up? When he visits, how will I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make him? Did not the same one form us in the womb? If I withheld the desires of the poor, or let the eyes of the widow to fail, if I ate my morsel of bread myself without letting an orphan eat of it, but from my youth I reared him as a father, and from my mother's womb I guided her. If I've seen anyone perishing for lack of clothing, or the needy without a covering, if his heart did not bless me as he warmed himself with the fleece of my sheep, if I've raised my hand against the orphan when I saw my support in the gate, then let my shoulder blade fall from my shoulder, and let my arm be broken off at the joint. For calamity from God was a terror to me, and because of his majesty I could do nothing. If I've put my confidence in gold, or said to fine gold, you are my security. If I've rejoiced because of my great wealth, or because of the abundance my hand acquired. If I looked at the sun when it shines, or the moon moving in splendor, so that my heart was secretly enticed, and my hand threw a kiss from my mouth, then this also would be iniquity to be judged, for I would have denied God above. If I rejoiced at the enemy's misfortune, or gloated because calamity found him, I've not allowed my mouth to sin by asking for his life with curse. If anyone in my household has ever said, who has not been filled with his meat? But no stranger had to spend the night outside, for my door was open to the traveler. If I've covered my transgressions like Adam by hiding my guilt in my bosom, because I feared a great multitude and the contempt of clans terrified me, so that I kept silent and would not go outside. Oh, that I had someone to hear me. Look, here's my signature. Let Shaddai answer me. Let the accuser write the indictment. Surely I would carry it on my shoulder. I would bind it on me as a crown. I would give him an account of my steps. Like a prince, I would approach him. If my land cries out against me and its furrows weep together, if I've eaten its fruits without money, or caused the death of its owners, then let briars come up instead of wheat, and stinkweed instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. Job 32. So these three men stopped answering Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Bozite of the clan of Ram, became angry. He was angry with Job for justifying himself rather than God. He was also angry with his three friends because they had not found an answer and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were older. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, his anger was aroused. Then Elihu, son of Barachel, the Bozite, responded and said, I am young in days and you are old. That is why I was timid and dared not to tell what I know. I thought, let days speak and many years teach wisdom. But there's a spirit in people, the breath of Shaddai that gives them understanding. It is not only the aged who are wise or old men who understand justice. Therefore I say, listen to me. I, even I, will explain what I know. Look, I waited for your words. I listened to your reasoning while you were searching for words. I gave you my full attention, but behold, no one proved Job wrong, none among you answered his statements. Lest you should say, we have found wisdom, let God refute him, not man. Job has not directed his words to me, and I will not respond to him with your arguments. They are dismayed and no longer reply. Words have failed them. Must I wait since they no longer speak, since they stand there with no reply? I too will answer my part. I too will declare what I know. For I am full of words, and the spirit within me compels me. Inside I'm like wine that has no opening, like new wineskins ready to burst. I must speak that I may find relief. I will open my lips that I may answer. I will show partiality to no one, nor will I flatter anyone. For I do not know how to flatter, else my Maker would quickly carry me away. Job 33. But now, Job, listen to my words and give ear to everything I say. See now, I open my mouth, my tongue in my mouth speaks. My words are from my upright heart. My lips speak sincerely what they know. The Ruach of God has made me. The breath of Shaddai gives me life. Answer me if you can. Array yourselves before me. Take your stand. Look, I am the same as you before God. I too am formed of clay. See, no fear of me should terrify you, or should my pressure be heavy on you. Indeed, you have said in my hearing, I heard the sound of the words. I am pure without transgression. I'm innocent without iniquity. Yet he has found fault with me. He considers me his enemy. He puts my feet in the shackles. He watches closely all my paths. But in this you are not right. I answer you. For God is greater than a mortal. Why do you contend against him that he does not answer all his words? Indeed, God speaks once, even twice, yet no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on men as they slumber in bed. Then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction, in order to turn a man from his conduct and to cover a person's pride. He spares his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. Or a person is chastened with pain on his bed with continual strife in his bones, so that his life loathes bread and his soul desirable food. His flesh wastes away from sight, and his bones, once unseen, now stick out. His soul draws near to the pit, and his life to the messengers of death. If there is an angel beside him, a messenger, 1 out of 1,000, to declare to a man his uprightness, then he's gracious to him and says, Deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. Let his flesh be restored like a child's. Let him return to the days of his youth. He entreats God and is accepted by him. He sees his face with a shout of joy. He restores to the man his righteousness. He sings to others, saying, I have sinned and perverted what is right, but I did not get what I deserved. He redeemed my soul from going down to the pit, and my life sees light. Indeed, God does all these things twice, even 3 times with a man, to bring his soul back from the pit, that he may be illuminated with the light of life. Pay attention, Job. Listen to me. Be silent, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I want to justify you. If not, then listen to me. Be silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Job 34. Then Elihu answered, Hear my words, you wise men. Give ear to me, you men of learning. For the ear tests words as the mouth tastes food. Let us choose for ourselves what is right. Let us learn together what is good. For Job says, I am righteous, but God has deprived me of justice. Concerning my right, should I lie? My wound is incurable, although I am without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinks mockery like water, who keeps company with evildoers and walks with wicked men? For he says, It does not profit a man when he makes his delight in God. Therefore listen to me, you men of understanding. Wickedness is far from God. For he repays a person for what he has done and brings on the person what he deserves. Truly, God does not act wickedly, and Shaddai does not pervert justice. Who appointed him over the earth? Who put him over the whole world? If he were to set his heart on it and gather to himself his ruach and breath, all flesh would perish together, and mankind would return to the dust. Now, if you have understanding, hear this. Give ear to the sound of my words. Can someone who hates justice govern? Will you condemn the mighty, righteous one? Who says to a king, worthless man, and to nobles, wicked man? Who shows no partiality before princes, and does not favor the rich over the poor, for they are all the work of his hands. They die in a moment. At midnight, people are shaken and they pass away. The mighty are removed without a hand. For his eyes are on the ways of man, he sees all his steps. There is no gloom and no deep darkness where evildoers can hide themselves. For he does not consider a man further that he should go before God in judgment. He shatters the mighty without inquiry and sets others in their place. Thus he recognizes their deeds, he overturns them in the night and they're crushed. He strikes them for their wickedness in a place where people can see, because they turned from following him and have not understood any of his ways. They caused the cry of the poor to come before him, so that he hears the cry of the afflicted. But if he's quiet, who can condemn him? If he hides his face, who can see him? Yet he is over a nation and an individual alike, so that godless men should not rule nor lay snares for people. Suppose someone says to God, I have borne chastisement, but I will not act wickedly anymore. Teach me what I cannot see. If I have done evil, I will not do it again. Should he requite it on your terms because you reject it? But you must choose and not I. Now declare what you know. Men of understanding declare, wise men who hear me say to me, Job speaks without knowledge, and his words lack understanding. Oh, that Job might be tested to the end for answering like wicked men. For he adds rebellion to his sin. In our midst he claps his hands and multiplies his words against God. Then Elihu answered, saying, Do you think this is just? Do you say, My righteousness is greater than God's? For you ask, What will it profit you? And what do I gain by not sinning? I will answer you and your friends with you. Look up at the heavens and see. Consider the clouds so high above you. If you sin, how does it affect him? If your transgressions are many, what do you do to him? If you are righteous, what do you give him, or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness is for a man like yourself, and your righteousness for a son of man. Because of the multitude of oppressions, they cry out. They cry out for help because of the power of the mighty. But no one says, Where is God my Maker, who gives songs in the night, who teaches us more than the animals of the earth, who makes us wiser than the birds of the sky? There they cry out, but he does not answer, because of the pride of the wicked. Indeed, God does not hear an empty cry. Shaddai pays no attention to it. How much less when you say that you do not perceive him, that the case is before him and you must wait for him. And further, that his anger does not punish, and that he does not know transgression. So Job opens his mouth with nonsense, without knowledge. He multiplies his words. Then Elihu said further, Be patient with me a bit longer, and I will show you that there is more to say on God's behalf. I get my knowledge from afar. I ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Indeed, God is mighty, but despises none. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives justice to the afflicted. He does not take his eyes from the righteous, but enthrones them with kings and exalts them forever. But if they are bound in chains and held captive by cords of affliction, then he declares to them their deed, that they have transgressed arrogantly. And he opens their ear to instruction and commands that they turn from evil. If they obey and serve, they will end their days in prosperity and their years in happiness. But if they do not listen, they will perish by the sword and die without knowledge. The godless in heart harbor anger. They do not cry for help even when he binds them. Their souls die in youth. Their life ends among cult prostitutes. He delivers the afflicted by his affliction and opens their ear in oppression. And indeed he will draw you from the mouth of distress to a spacious place without constraint and the comfort of a table full of rich food. But you are full of judgment on the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you. Beware lest wrath entice you with riches, or a large bribe turn you aside. Will your wealth sustain you to keep you from distress, or even all your mighty efforts? Do not long for the night when people vanish from their places. Be careful, do not turn to iniquity, for you have chosen this rather than affliction. Indeed, God is exalted in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who has prescribed his way for him, or said, "You have done wrong"? Remember to magnify his work, of which people have sung. All mankind has seen it. People gaze on it from afar. Behold, God is exalted beyond our knowledge. The number of his years is unsearchable. For he draws up the drops of water. They distill rain into its mist, which the clouds pour down and shower mankind abundantly. Indeed, who can understand the spreading of the clouds and the thunder from his pavilion? See how he scatters his lightning about him, covering the depths of the sea. For by these he judges peoples and supplies food in abundance. He covers his hands with lightning and commands it to strike its target. His thunder declares his presence, the cattle also about what is coming. At this, my heart trembles and leaps from its place. Listen carefully to the roar of his voice, the rumbling that comes from his mouth. Under the whole heaven he lets it loose, and his light to the ends of the earth. After that a voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice. He does not hold them back when his voice is heard. God thunders wondrously with his voice. He does great things beyond our comprehension. For the snow, he says, fall to the earth, and to the torrential rain, be a mighty downpour of rain. He seals the hand of every man so that all men will know his work. The animals go into their lairs, they remain in their dens. Out of its chamber comes the storm and icy cold from the driving wind. From the breath of God, frost is made, and the watery expanse freezes. He loads the clouds with moisture. He scatters his cloud of lightning. It swirls around by his guidance to do whatever he commands on the face of the inhabited world. Whether it is a rod of punishment, or for his land, or for loving kindness, he causes it to happen. Listen to this, Job. Stand and consider God's wonders. Do you know how God orders them, and makes the lightning flash in his cloud? Do you know the balancing of clouds, the wonders of him who has perfect knowledge? You whose clothes are not, when the earth is still because of the south wind, can you, with him, stretch out the skies, strong as a mirror of molten metal? Teach us what to say to him. We cannot prepare a case because of the darkness. Should he be informed that I want to speak? If a man speaks, would he be swallowed up? But now they do not see the light bright as it is in the skies, until the wind has passed and cleared the clouds away. Out of the north comes in golden splendor. Around God is awesome majesty. Shaddai, we cannot find him. He is great in power and justice and abundant righteousness. He does not oppress. Therefore people fear him. He does not regard all the wise of heart. Then Adonai answered Job out of the whirlwind. He said, who is this who darkens counsel with words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you will inform me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who set its dimensions, if you know? Or who stretched a line over it? On what were its foundations set, or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? And who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling cloth. When I prescribed my boundary for it, and set bars and gates. When I said, this far you may come, but no further. Here your majestic waves will stop. Have you ever in your life commanded the morning? Or caused the dawn to know its place? That it would take hold of the corners of the earth and shake the wicked out of it? It changes shape like clay under a seal. They stand out like those of a garment. And from the wicked, their light is withheld, and the upraised arm is broken. Have you gone to the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the expanses of the earth? If you know it all, declare it. In what direction does light dwell, and darkness, where's its place? That you can take it to its borders and discern the paths to its home? Surely you know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered the storehouses of snow, or seen the storehouses of hail, which I reserved for a time of distress, for a day of battle and war? In what direction is light distributed, or the east wind scattered over the earth? Who cuts a channel for the flood and a path for the thunderstorm, to cause it to rain on an uninhabited land, a desert with no one in it, to satisfy a devastated and desolate land, and cause it to sprout grass? Does the rain have a father, or who has birthed the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost of heaven, when the waters hide like stone, and the surface of the deep is frozen? Can you bind the chains of Pleiades, or loosen the belt of Orion? Do you bring out the constellations in their season, or guide the bear with her cubs? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set up dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with an abundance of water? Can you send out lightning bolts so they go? Will they say to you, "Here we are"? Who put wisdom in the secret place, or gave understanding to the mind? Who can count the clouds by wisdom, or tip over the water jars of heaven? When dust hardens into a mass and clods of earth stick together, do you hunt prey for the lioness, or satisfy the hunger of young lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in the thicket? Who arranges provision for the raven when its young cry out to God and wander about for lack of food? Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Did you observe the calving doe? Do you count the months they fulfill, and do you know the time when they give birth? When they kneel, bring forth their young, and their labor pains end? Their young thrive and grow strong in the open field. They leave and never return to them. Who sent the wild donkey free? Who released the bonds of the wild ass? To whom I gave the Arabah as its home, the salt land as its dwelling place. It scorns the commotion in the town. It does not hear the taskmaster's shouts. It explores the mountains as its pasture and searches after every green thing. Is the wild ox willing to serve you? Will it spend the night at your manger? Will you bind a wild ox to a furrow with his rope? Will it plow valleys behind you? Will you rely on it for its great strength? Will you leave your labor to it? Can you trust it to bring in your seed and gather it to your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap joyously, but are they the pinions and plumage of a stork? For she leaves her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the soil, and forgets that a foot may crush them, that a wild beast may trample them. She treats her young ones harshly, as if they were not hers. She's not concerned that her labor was in vain. For God did not endow her with wisdom, or give her a share of understanding. When she lifts herself to flee, she laughs at the horse and its rider. Do you give the horse its strength? Do you clothe his neck with a mane? Do you cause him to leap like locust? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws in the valley, and exulting in his strength, he charges into the fray. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not recoil from the sword. On him the quiver rattles, the spear and javelin flash. With quaking and excitement, he swallows up the ground. He cannot stand still when the shofar sounds. At the blast of the shofar, he says, "Aha!" From a distance, he smells battle, the shout of the captains and the battle cry. Is it by your wisdom that the hawk soars, spreading its wings toward the south? Is it by your command that an eagle soars and builds its nest high? It dwells on a cliff and spends the night there, on a rocky crag and stronghold. From there it searches for food, its eyes detect it from afar. Its young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there it is. Then Adonai answered Job, saying, Will the one who contends with Shaddai correct him? Let him who accuses God answer. Then Job answered Adonai. He said, Indeed, I am unworthy. What can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more. Then Adonai answered Job from the whirlwind. Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you will inform me. Would you really annul my judgment? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's, and can you thunder with a voice like his? Then adorn yourself in majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself in splendor and honor. Scatter the fury of your anger. Look at every proud person and bring him low. Look at everyone who is proud and humble him. Tread down the wicked where they stand. Hide them together in the dust. Bind their faces in the hidden place. Then I, even I, will acknowledge to you that your own right hand can save you. Look now at Behemoth, which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. Now look at his strength in his loins and his power in the muscles of his belly. He stiffens his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs like rods of iron. He is the first among the ways of God. Let his maker draw near with his sword. For the mountains bring him food, and all the wild animals play there. Under the lotus plant he lies down, in the secrecy of the reeds and marsh. The lotuses conceal him in their shade. The willows of the brook surround him. If the river rages, he is not alarmed. He is secure, even though the Jordan surges against his mouth. Can anyone capture it by its eyes or pierce his nose with hooks? Can you pull in Leviathan with a hook or tie down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a reed rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many supplications to you or speak softly to you? Will he make a covenant with you so you can take him as a slave forever? Can you play with him like a bird or put him on a leash for your curls? Will traders barter for him? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his hide with harpoons or his head with fishing spears? If you lay your hands on him, you will remember the battle and never do it again. See, his hope is wrong. He is laid low, even the sight of him. Is he not fierce when he is roused? Who then is able to stand before me? Who has confronted me that I should repay? Everything under heaven belongs to me. I will not keep silent about his limbs or his might or the grace of his arrangement. Who can strip off his outer garment? Who can penetrate his double armor? Who can open the doors of his face, ringed with fearsome teeth? His rows of shields are his pride, shut up closely as with tight seal, each so close to the necks that no air can pass between. They are joined one to another. They clasp each other and cannot be separated. He sneezes out flashes of light. His eyes are like the eyelids of dawn. Out of his mouth go flames. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke pours from his nostrils as a boiling pot over burning reeds. His breath sets coals ablaze and flames dart from his mouth. Strength resides in his neck. Dismay runs before him. The folds of his flesh are tightly joined. They are firm on him, immovable. His heart is hard as rock, hard as a lower millstone. When he rises up, the mighty are afraid. At his crashing, they retreat. A sword that reaches him has no effect, nor with a spear, dart, or javelin. He regards iron as straw, bronze as rotten wood. Arrows do not make him flee. Sling stones become like chaff to him. A club is regarded as stubble. He laughs at the rattling of a lance. His undersides are jagged potsherds. leaving a trail like a threshing sledge in mud. He makes the deep boil like a cauldron and stirs up the sea like a pot of ointment. He leaves a shining wake behind him. One would think the deep had white hair. Nothing on dry land is his equal, a creature without fear. He sees every haughty thing. He's king over all who are proud. Job answered Adonai and said, I know you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You ask, who is this who darkens counsel without knowledge? Surely I spoke without understanding, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. You said, hear now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you will inform me. I heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye has seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent on dust and ashes. After Adonai had spoken these words to Job, Adonai said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my anger is kindled against you and against your two friends, because you have not spoken about me what is right, like my servant Job has. So now, take for yourself 7 young bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, for I will accept Job's prayer and not deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken correctly about me, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did what Adonai told them, and Adonai accepted Job's prayer. So Adonai restored what Job had lost after he prayed for his friends, and Adonai doubled everything that Job had before. Then all his brothers, all his sisters, and everyone who had known him before came to him and ate bread with him in his house. They consoled him and comforted him for all the calamity that Adonai had brought upon him. Each of them gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. So Adonai blessed Job's latter days more than at his beginning. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Yamima, the name of the second Kitsia, and the name of the third Keren Hapuch. Nowhere in the land were there found women as beautiful as the daughters of Job. Their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years. He saw his children and their children for 4 generations. And so Job died, old and full of days. And as always, thank you so much for being here today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right there. And don't forget the bell if you want notifications. And if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button. And I will see you next time.
I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm lost without a clue. I need a big pink neon sign to show me what to do. I thank you, Lord. It glorifies you when you're the only answer. I praise you, Lord, for holding what's too much for me. And I'm amazed by you, Lord, because nothing's too big and nothing's too small to lay at your feet.